So, hey guys.
We're back. Sort of. We've been.
Well, we're not back.
No,
we're
no,
just
no.
on
We're not,
video again.
we're not back there.
No, we're not.
We're trying to catch up on a few days where we've been out of horrible cell service. So we're going to try to, like I said, catch you up on where we've been since, what, June 28th?
Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah, and just for reference, we're in the Netherlands now.
Yes.
So we took the ferry from Scotland to the Isle of Arran.
Yep.
And that's a little tiny island, and they say that if you go there, it's like a miniature of Scotland. So when you travel around the Isle of Arran, which is Arran, you feel like you get to see all the same countryside and coastal areas as if you were going around Scotland.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we went to the Heritage Museum, which is really good.
Yep. Showed how country life was done on the island. It talked about, economic development, agricultural development, the dairy industry especially. Talked about the island's activities during World War II, which you don't think about because it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And talked about development since then. So really neat little museum.
Yes, and there's great ice cream made on the Isle of Arran Arran, and I suggest you figure that out on how to get some of that because it's really, really creamy and good.
But it was raining. It was miserable raining. We dashed over to, was it Middleton Campground?
Yeah.
Got a spot, set up the tent, walked in the rain back into town to dinner. Had a great dinner.
Yeah.
Once again, when you're traveling, call restaurants ahead and book a table, even if it's an hour ahead, because this is like the third or fourth time now where they looked at their book and said, "Did you book a table?
Did you book?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, we're not going to eat tonight.
I'm starving to death. Help me."
Yes.
So we did that.
And then we got back.
We got back and we're in the tent and it's pouring rain and the tent is really good in the rain.
Yeah.
But I'm touching the floor and I'm like, oh, it feels like a waterbed. And then we realized, yes, the tent was indeed in a puddle of water.
Right. So it was just total water, like 2 inches of water underneath the tent, which wasn't really getting wet in the tent, but it was just enough on the floor that you could tell that it was like going to seep through any second.
Be a problem.
Yeah. So in the rain, we got up and moved everything out of the tent into one of our other footprint tarps and kept it dry and moved the tent, and then went into the laundry room to dry all of our clothes.
Yes.
And that were wet from walking around in the rain all day.
And thankfully the campground host saw our situation, took pity on us.
Really nice.
And we actually stayed in the laundry room till about midnight, charging phones and charging electronics and doing laundry.
And talking to other campers that were coming in to wash their lawn or their dishes and stuff like that. So we met a lot of cool people. Mike is one of them, and they.
Oh, the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was hiking students all around the island. So I thanked him for his service as a teacher.
Yeah.
And
we met two of the teachers.
Yes.
One of them we didn't get a picture of, and we can't remember his name, but he was a super nice guy, young guy. And the other one was Mike, who we'll show a picture of.
Mike loves teaching, though.
Yes.
That is a passion of his.
Yes.
And he is.
Yes.
The next day, we literally packed up all our wet gear. Like, tent still wet, footprint still wet.
Everything.
Put it in a bag, it's dripping wet, throw it in the backpack on the bike, and off we went. Because we really don't have time to sit around and let stuff dry.
No. And we went and found that castle.
The Viking fort.
Oh, did we do that first? Yes, we went to the Viking fort first.
Which was really just kind of a dug-in earthwork on the end of the island. But it was super old.
Yeah. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah. But then it started raining again. So we're like hoofing it out of there.
And he had the drone up out over the water trying to get a view of this Viking fort, and it lost contact.
Yeah, high wind.
Yeah.
Scared me to death.
Yeah, I thought we were going to lose the drone, but luckily it didn't. It came back. And then after that we followed directions to this Kildonan Castle, and we're driving, and we're trying to find our way, but it's like we're going into somebody's yard, and we can't figure out why are we in somebody's yard now. And so we stop, and there's a worker that was painting the house, and we say, "Do you know where the castle is?" And he says, "Yeah, just go around the side of the house here.
Walk through the garden."
Like, what? Through inside the yard? He says, yeah, just go around. And we go around, and sure enough, there's part of a castle. It's not a whole castle. It's enough castle to be cool, though.
Yeah. Especially if you had the house and it was in your front yard.
Man, yeah, or backyard, and then the water
sounds
right
cool
behind.
to me.
I'd like it. Yeah. So we saw that, and there was a little
Art gallery
in like a closet, and the artist was there, and she made cards, and I sent some out to some of you, and she had other artwork there too. But that was cool to see.
So we jumped on the bike with all our rain gear on, and so as always happens, if we put our rain gear on, it will stop raining shortly.
Yeah.
So we made our way to King's Cave, which rumor has it Robert the Bruce hid out in these caves during Scotland's fight for independence with England.
Right.
And so there's some carvings in the cave, which we really couldn't, I don't think we could really find them. There's so much kind of like graffiti carvings over what's supposed to be these ancient carvings. So if we knew what to look for, we might have seen it.
But there's going to be a video coming out soon about that. I've been working on it, about King's Cave, yeah. So you'll see that soon.
Yeah.
And then we walked around Lacranza Castle.
Yeah, we finished driving around the island and saw Lacranza Castle. And by that time, Lacranza is where the ferry is to the next part of Scotland. And we're like, oh man, we got to find some food. We got to find a campground. Well, it turns out in that area, there's one campground and one restaurant.
Yes.
So you either get in or you don't.
Right. So we get into the campground, no problem, and they suggest the restaurant, and we go down to the restaurant, and they say, have you booked? And we say, no, we have not. And the one waitress took pity on us and said, go try and see if they'll let you place an order for takeaway. And so they kind of resisted, but then ended up letting us do an order for takeaway.
They were getting behind on all their cooking. They had so many people there.
Luckily, we put our order in, and then they discovered that they were getting behind. So that worked out good for us. But we couldn't sit at the bar and eat, even though we sat at the bar and waited. They wouldn't let us stay there and eat. So we said, okay, that's no problem. We'll take away. And we took away, and we went outside. Now we're on the bike, so we've got our food in the bag, and it's warm food. We don't want it to get cold.
And it's crazy windy.
So windy and a little bit rainy. And so I see the bus stop. Now, all the bus stops on the Isle of Arran have chairs in them.
Like people have brought their kitchen chairs out or a desk chair.
Some nicer than
others. Put
it
in the bus stop.
Yeah.
Even though the bus stop has a bench.
Yeah, it has a bench, but sometimes they have these chairs. And so there was 2 chairs in the bus stop, and it was a clear bus stop on a lake, and it was beautiful, or on the water. It was beautiful with the mountains in the background. And so we sat in the bus stop, and we checked the schedule, and we said, well, there's no buses coming, so no problem.
Yeah, blocked the wind.
It was so great. So then we're sitting there, and then Travis looks at, we're eating, and Travis looks up and goes, oh shit, there's a bus coming. What? Oh no. So we jump up and we go running out to the bike, and we stand by the bike and act like we weren't just sitting in the bus stop. And then the bus just goes flying by.
I didn't want the bus to stop and everybody to be staring at us like, well,
are you getting on or what? Yeah. So anyway, then the bus goes by, and we go boop, boop, boop back into the bus stop and sit outside of inside. It was nice. It was a good time. I highly recommend it.
And the campground was nice. It's Lacranza Camping and Golf.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of golf they did there, but they had clubs and the kids were out there whacking balls around.
Yeah.
There were some deer wandering around.
Yeah, big deer.
Don't feed the deer.
Don't feed them, no.
And
nice showers, everything.
The next day, we hop on the ferry.
To Cloneg.
Yes, which is just a boat ramp, right? You get there and there's nothing. And you're looking at your fuel gauge going, well, I've got a half tank. I'm good.
Yeah.
Until you start driving down the
coast.
It's
only 32 kilometers to the next gas station.
GPS hates us.
Yes,
it's like
it really
32
does.
Kilometers, but you're going to go 142 to get there.
And possibly 2 days. Yes. So anyway, we frantically drive. Travis is stressing. We're trying to take this scenic road that this guy Jasper that we met in Ireland told us about, and he said it's the road from the Beatles song "The Long and Winding Road," or the John Lennon song "The Long and Winding Road." It was long and winding, and this wide, and only slightly wider than our motorcycle, and 2-way traffic.
And our motorcycle doesn't have a reserve tank like old motorcycles did. Yeah. It has a gauge that once it gets down to, a fifth of a tank, it starts flashing. There's a bright yellow light.
Causes more stress.
Yeah, I'd rather just have the reserve tank.
Yes. So we drove and finally made it to the gas station. That was really the first place that I felt like we were not welcomed there. like
the gas station.
at the gas station. The guy inside didn't talk to us,
Mhm.
and it was way out in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, it turned out
That gas station was in town.
Oh,
You're
which
thinking of the
one?
wrong one.
Oh.
You're thinking of the one where you GPSed us to the center of town as I'm desperately worrying about running out of gas. She just put in Campbelltown name. So we show up in
'Cause
the
that's
middle
what
of
he
downtown. And I'm like, where's the
Where's
gas
the
station? She's like, it's right here. We're in the middle of town. And then she's like, oh my God, I
my
put the
God, I
town
put the
name
wrong
in,
thing.
not the gas station.
So then I put in the gas station, and it takes us to the supermarket, not the gas station.
Yeah,
so
where you can buy
still more
canned gas for your propane stoves. So then we
But
finally
luckily,
went.
he's really
luckily
patient.
We didn't run out of gas.
We didn't run out of gas, and we met back up at that grocery store with the guy Mark that we met on the ferry.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Mark has a van that he lives in like half time.
Part of the time, yeah. And he told us how to see the seals. That the seals, they don't move, and then all of a sudden they move, and that's how you know they are seals. They are not rocks. Yeah. So we saw some finally when we stopped at a cemetery and an abbey while we were looking for some place to camp. We were just driving around.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Because it was Scotland, and in Scotland you can wild camp, but we never could find
a place that felt right,
suitable and good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but we did.
anyway.
It was a cemetery with an abbey that the
Mm-hmm.
roof had collapsed hundreds of years ago, so they just made it more cemetery inside the abbey.
They seem
And
to do
then
that a lot.
There was a well outside the abbey, which we didn't see, but it was supposedly Saint Columba
Yeah.
had been to the well, and there were footprints in the
holy
rock,
well,
and
yeah.
there's a cave.
We didn't
So
see the footprints either.
We did see the cave,
We did see the cave.
and then while we had the
I don't
drone
remember
up,
it, but he says we did.
we saw seals. So we flew the drone over to see the seals. Don't worry, there's so much surf noise. The seals couldn't hear the drone. I think one saw it though and was like,
the mama. There's a video of that somewhere out there too that we put up. Anyway, and we drove way out to this lighthouse.
Oh my God! It's out on the coast, epic, cool old lighthouse, right?
Up and down road.
Of course, our cell phone service is so bad we can't read reviews and we can't really get directions good. And we go forever out this one lane sheep path. Well, it's paved, it's asphalt, but
yeah,
we passed like a group of adventure motorcycle riders on the way in, and
Yeah,
they
they
just
were
all
coming
kind of
out.
stared at us as we cruise by. They're like, how to know you're going the wrong way.
Right. Yeah.
But
So-
we get all the way out there,
Yeah.
and the road stops a mile short of the lighthouse,
Yeah.
and the hike is like straight down to the
Mhm.
lighthouse,
Yeah.
and we weren't doing it.
We just were like, we're gonna have to come back up that. It's already getting dark. We're not doing it.
Yeah,
So we turned around and left, and it was
back out.
a little
all the
rainy
roads.
too, right?
Yes.
It was
Oh,
still a
yeah.
little rainy because
And
Scotland.
this road is so old and unkept that there's like gravel in the road, so you've got to go really slow around the corners. There's hairpins. You can't see if traffic's coming.
Yeah. So
So
there was a
you're,
lot of stress and
you're creeping.
big heavy bike back and forth,
Yeah.
back and forth. So that night we stopped. We found a campground and stopped and
I can't pronounce the name of the place.
Machrihanish, maybe.
Yeah.
So it was a holiday park, and so a holiday park has like mobile homes in it too that people either buy or rent to own for when they come on holidays.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice place, and it had wigwams, which are really like wooden structures.
Like glamping sheds.
Yeah.
And it was still raining a little bit, and our gear was still wet, so
Yeah.
we just
We just wanted to be dry.
we
So-
piled into one of those glamping sheds. It was what, 85,
No, I think it was
55?
like 65 or 55. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But and had the bathrooms and everything not in it, but had the other ones. And we met Janice there. She was super cool.
Oh yeah, she worked there.
Yeah, she worked there.
Yeah.
She was
In
really,
fact,
really
she
nice. Gave us a lot of
kind
ideas.
of offered us a job. She's like, "Oh, do you want to come back in the
She
season
didn't
and work
offer us.
camp?"
She said, email them and ask them.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
but we'd be in a tent, so that'd be hard.
We couldn't do that.
Anyway, so then the next day, we
Let's
woke
see.
up and we went. Travis says we went to St. Brennan's Church. I have zero recollection. I don't know what that is at all. But we did drive and drive and drive, and we were trying to get to where the next ferry was going to be. Oh, no, that one didn't have a ferry. That town didn't have a ferry. But anyway, so we were driving, and then I saw a sign for a castle. So we hung a right, and we
Oh my God.
went.
Yeah, drove all the way across the landmass to get to Skipness Castle, but it was
Ooh, squirrel.
once again tiny little narrow roads. And hey, look, there's a sheep, and
Yeah. So
I have this love-hate relationship with like historical markers because
yes,
traditionally they have drug us dozens of miles out of the way for maybe nothing.
maybe nothing. Yeah.
But then we didn't realize that we had actually driven all the way across the island back to where we needed to be, right? Wasn't that where we needed to be for the?
Now
Oh
we
no,
were back over by Clonig.
we were back right where we had arrived on the ferry.
And we had
Like
gone
within
all the way
minutes.
down and then back up and then we passed. Yeah. So, but anyway, but we did get to see Skipness Castle, which
Yep.
was really nice. And there's a video out there for that. And
And
that's
it was
when
the
we went up
first-
on the roof and flew the drone.
It was the first old castle that had some parts restored to where you could see what the levels of the floors would be like,
Yeah.
which
That was
was
cool.
really cool to me because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is how much headroom you would have. This is, I like
Kind
that.
of what it would be like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Then
What
we,
do from Skipness Castle?
I have in my notes that we tried to go to that Lac Lamond campground.
Yeah.
But it was very, very busy. It wasn't a campground. It was, you get a permit and you can,
It's like roadside camping almost.
yeah, but on a lake. So that was cool. And we later met another lady, Nicola, and she was like, oh yeah, I go there every year. We're like, dang it. But anyway,
But we did stop at a Tesco for
Mm-hmm.
lunch. So a lot of the gas stations here have like fresh sandwich section, and they'll have a deal. So it's like €5 for a sandwich, a snack, and a drink.
yeah, it's
Right,
pretty
20
good.
ounce soda,
Yeah.
bag of chips, and a sandwich. So
Yeah.
it's relatively cheap compared to fast food, and it's usually a lot healthier for you. The ingredients here seem to be a lot better for you.
Yes, yes.
Um,
So while we were there, we were sitting on the wall eating our sandwiches and met a guy that works for Tesco
He's
in the maintenance.
He's a maintenance guy.
Yeah, so we can't remember his name though, and we're sorry about that. But he was super nice,
Gave
We
us lots
talked
of
to him
good
for a while.
tips.
Yeah.
Lots of good tips on travel.
and he wants to get a van and build it out and travel in it
And then
after he retires.
Yeah.
And then I go inside to go to the bathroom, and I come back out, and Travis is talking to another guy.
Who's
William.
a traffic guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
traffic
does road maintenance.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I used to do road maintenance.
Yeah.
So we talked for a while. I promised him I'd send him one of my old DOT hats.
Yeah.
So we're going to remember to do that when we get back to the
Right,
States.
right. We made a note. And that night we stayed at the Loganbeg campground. Oh,
Which
that
one's
was
that?
the one that was. That's the one that we went into. They also sold farm supplies.
Oh, yeah. Kind of crazy. Lots of horse stuff in there. And you're like,
Yeah.
where's our horses at? I don't see no
I don't
horses.
see any horses. But that was one. It was a big field. They had other things too, but they had bathrooms and stuff.
Also, raining. Surprise.
Yay!
Scotland.
Yeah.
Um,
So then that next morning we woke up and started our trip and ended up going to Hadrian's Wall.
oh,
portion of Hadrian's
yeah.
Wall.
A portion of Hadrian's Wall, which was pretty impressive, the amount of work they did for that.
Yeah, 73 miles long,
Yeah.
15 feet thick, tall,
Yeah.
pretty thick still.
Still thick, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And they had two defense towers or watchtowers every mile.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of those.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. So we did that, and then I fed a sheep, and it, I swear, it kissed my hand. I think it liked me, but I couldn't get it to hang around long enough for me to snuggle it, and I really wanted to snuggle.
If you like the smell of wet wool, go to Scotland.
Yes, yes.
That's pretty much
There's a lot of sheep.
pretty much
That are wet.
the national smell of Scotland.
Stop! It didn't
It's
smell
not-
like that. He's teasing. He kept telling me, "You don't want to snuggle that sheep. It's wet. It'll stink." I'm like, "I don't care what it smells like. I want to snuggle it." So then that night we stayed at Archer's Red Bank Farm.
Okay.
That was built in 1680.
I think I have such bad cell phone reception. I don't even have pictures of that whole day.
Yeah, I have pictures of the sheep, and I have pictures of the farm house
Gotcha.
and the farm and stuff like that. And so that was really good. And we woke up in the morning and had breakfast in the cafe there,
Okay.
and it was yummy. And it was, did you have a Scottish breakfast? I don't know.
What did I have at the port before we left
That was-
Dover? That was English. So I had Scottish breakfast there, and then I had English breakfast once we got to Dover. So Scottish breakfast.
Okay.
And there's a picture. We'll get a picture. Okay.
We'll get a picture for you. And then we went to the Malcap Castle.
Ooh,
Malcop
but
Castle.
before we got to the castle, I talked to two English motorcycle cops. So
You
that was
did.
kind of cool because I was like, they're not even taking a second look at my motorcycle. You can't see my tag. You don't know where I'm from. It's loaded with junk. And so I was like, well, let me go, not poke the bear, but let me go talk to these guys and see how they feel about their jobs.
Yeah.
So turns out they like their job. They can't believe that I think that drivers in the UK are better than the US.
Clearly, they haven't been to the U.S.
I mean, they were like, you're kidding. Our drivers are horrible. I was like,
Nope.
yeah, I have not seen any accidents.
No,
No accidents since we've been here.
just our own.
And yeah, and no like in the U.S. on the interstate, you see truck tires blown out all the time.
Yeah.
None here.
No.
That was weird.
Yeah. So we went to Malcop Castle.
Which was built in the late 1700s as kind of a summer home / spectacle by some rich guy.
Yeah, not even really a castle,
No.
but it was up on the top of a hill, so the whole town just looked at it, and it was really a pretty piece.
Just free.
And
to
we
walk
had
up
our
to.
lunch there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we went towards somewhere to
We camped in a field.
well, that was when we went to that Plow and Harrow.
Was it?
No, we camped in a field. That was the home farm camping.
Oh. Right.
Oh, and we were at the gas station getting air in our tires, and this guy Max pulls up on his bike, and
He had a
he's-
scooter, right?
yeah, he had a
Yeah.
scooter, young guy scooter, and so he's like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" And we're like, "No, we're okay. We're just airing up our tires." So I talked to him a little bit, gave him one of our stickers. He was so excited, put it right on his fender right away. So
Yeah.
there's a picture of him there. He was a really nice guy.
So we have one sticker
he's
stuck to something.
Yeah, somebody that we actually saw him stick it. So that was cool. You know what I mean. So anyway, then that night we ate at the Dashwood Roadhouse for dinner.
Okay.
Dashwood Roadhouse for dinner, and it was really kind of like American food. So it was like an American burger.
Oh yeah, the whole theme of the place was kind of Americana, and we're like,
Yeah. Do we want to? But it
Don't
was
know
the
if
only
you're doing
place
it
to
right
eat.
here.
So there we go. But it was good. It was
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So, and then we stayed at Home Farm Camping, which was all right. Next. You're like, which one was the Home Farm Camping?
Home farm camp. Was that the horse one? No.
No, it was like the glamping that had the teepees, and it was a long walk, and there was no
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Even
Yeah.
though it was kind of supposed to have Wi-Fi, we think.
Yeah, and the tent camping was all on a hillside.
Yes.
So
But the caravans could all park in flat ground. They
Yeah.
can level themselves. We can't. I don't
Yeah.
get it. So anyway, it was all right.
I think the next day I didn't get any pictures at all
The next day,
because
we drove and drove and drove, and we were driving to Dover
Oh yeah.
in England,
So like streaking across.
because we had already done England kind of on our way up, so we were like, let's make tracks and get through this part of England, but we want to go to Dover, and we wanted to see the castle
White
and
Cliffs.
the World War II and
Yeah.
One stuff there.
Yeah.
So we showed up at the castle because we don't do enough research for anything. And we show up at the castle, and they close in like an hour and a half. And how long does it take to really see the place? Oh, like 3 or 4 hours. And there were signs all the way up that are like, beyond this point, you must have tickets. And we're like, this stinks. We got to buy tickets and we aren't even going to stay. And finally I was like, well, what if we don't stay? What if we just turn around and walk away? And she's like, well, we can't do anything. So we're like, all right, bye, see you tomorrow. Pew! And we turned around and walked away. So we went back the next morning. Oh, but that night we stayed at
Plow and Harrow.
the Plow and
So
Harrow.
another pub / campground. So
Yeah.
if you're lucky enough to find those around England as you travel, it's really a nice way to camp.
Yeah.
Because you can go in, have a pint or two, make some friends, talk about what you're doing.
The area and stuff.
Yeah, and then you camp right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely. I don't think we did it in Ireland or Scotland. I think it's definitely an England thing.
Well, we did it in Ireland technically because we stayed behind that tavern.
Yeah, but he didn't mean for us to stay there.
I
he
mean,
said yes.
He
but-
knew. He invited us, but we were just asking for where could we stay. But that's another story, and I think you've already heard it. So,
Yes.
anyways.
So the next morning we get up at the Plow and Harrow, where we did laundry,
Yeah, James was super nice, the owner, and he let
yeah.
us do laundry.
because once again everything's wet.
Everything's wet. Yeah.
So then we dash to
The White Cliffs.
The White Cliffs. We
The
walk.
White Cliffs of Dover. You may have heard of them.
Yep. So we hike out along the trail, and once again, Europe so far is not for timid Americans who think they need to be protected from everything.
There are no guardrails.
No guardrails, no
No.
signs saying "Don't stand close to the edge." There's nothing. You could go pitch yourself right off if you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
But anyway, White Cliffs.
beautiful.
Yes. And then you saw where we landed his plane.
The first guy to fly from France to England across the English Channel, early 1900s. I'm going to mispronounce his name, Blériot. Yeah.
Maybe you don't say the T, Blériot.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a
But
French guy.
And then we went to the Dover Castle,
Went to Dover Castle.
which was right there.
And Dover Castle has such a long history. It started in medieval times. It was used in through all sorts of wars back then. World War I, it was used to defend against German air attacks and to coordinate Navy stuff. They built tunnels underneath it in the 1700s and to keep the French from invading. And then it's just
Then
crazy.
World War II.
World War II, it was a base again, and you just got to go there, and you need time. There's a tour of the medical bunker. There's a tour of the command bunker. You could easily spend a whole day
Yeah, at least.
touring there. There's Roman ruins.
Yeah.
But what we were doing is putting together this side of the story with the story we'd see later at Dunkirk,
Right.
because that's where they
Rescued.
that's where they did the organization.
Oh, yeah.
to
In
rescue.
Dover, they did the organization for the rescue mission.
Yeah,
So then we took the ferry to Dunkirk
Yeah.
in France.
that day, same day.
That same day, right? So we did that, and then, but we didn't get there until like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So then we looked for camping,
Yep.
and we failed looking for camping
So
for a while.
It seems that France's version of camping is trailer park.
Yeah.
When you look up camping, you're going to get little sawed-off single wides, and they'll allow tents, but it's clearly not the thing.
Clearly not the thing. Like,
I might be
weird.
searching by the wrong term.
I don't know. I've looked by a lot of different terms, but he did. He didn't speak English at all, but he did understand that we had a tent, and it ended up being like 17 euros,
Which is cheap.
Which is cheap, but France, there is no toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
They don't do
They
that.
don't believe in it. Well, I mean,
Here we don't understand.
they don't
We
supply
don't know what
it,
they
we'll
do.
say. They
They
sell
don't
it,
supply it.
but they don't supply it,
Right, but they don't sell it by the roll, so
which
it's
is
not
what we need.
convenient. I
the
can't
most.
get like a 6-pack. What am I going to do with it? Throw it all away? I can't do that. So anyway, so that was our first experience with there being no toilet paper, was at that campground, and it's not like they have a bidet for you to use either. It's just no toilet paper. So luckily,
It's not like they forgot to stock it. There's no
there's
toilet paper hanger,
No,
so clearly not part of the plan.
not ever. Not now, not before,
It's
not
just
ever.
interesting.
So anyway, and then, but luckily I had some.
Oh,
so
but
we were
public
okay.
urinals. Who knew that was a thing?
Yeah, just like out. Just
I mean,
out.
it's got
Maybe
like
a little half wall
a
next
little
to
half
you.
wall sheltering you, but yeah, in the city park
Yeah,
on the
there's
side of a
just
building.
toilets right there. Yeah, we saw some today in Belgium that, or in Netherlands, that were right on the side of a church.
Yeah,
Just
crazy. But anyway, we digress.
We digress. Yeah. So anyway, and where he parked us in that campground, where he had us parked, it was like way back, wound back around in, and then it was like basically the front yard of these 2 mobile homes, but luckily nobody was home there.
Yes.
So anyway,
Creepy.
so then creepy. Then we wake up in the morning and we go to some of the bunkers that we saw.
Yeah, they're just littered on the side of the road in France along the coast. I mean, you figure the Germans had 3 years to get ready. They must have spent the whole time fortifying the coast because they're still there. There's bunkers just in the grass
Big,
in the
thick
fields. It's not
concrete.
like they're an attraction. There's no trails. It's just there.
They're just there, kind of deteriorating. One's a big, tall one that's leaning over. So Travis will probably put that picture in there.
So one of the tour guides at Dover Castle said, yeah, there was a period in the 60s and 70s when, in his opinion, England tried to get rid of all the traces of World War II, but clearly not in France. They didn't try to obliterate it or anything like that. And we went from looking at those bunkers to
Dunkirk, the
muse-
Dunkirk Museum.
the museum in Dunkirk, which was neat to see because part of that museum was from the French point of view.
Yeah.
So how they felt about the evacuation and basically the the collapse of the armies as the Germans went around the defense lines.
Yeah, because like, why did they have to have this rescue? We keep talking about this.
To be continued in the next episode, another half-hour discussion of where we are in Europe. We still got France and Luxembourg.